Hello, hello. I think in this video, I'm going to try and cover all my equipment. I've tried to do equipment videos before. It's kind of hard to do, to remember it all as you're going. But I'm going to do my best here and see if we can get a comprehensive look at everything I use and how I use it. This one might take a while, so hope you got yourself all your necessary supplies. See, I got one in my hand. I'm going to light it up while we do this because it's going to take a while. Give me a second here. Where to begin? Where to begin? I guess this is the discus tank, and we're going to start here. Now, this tank has evolved slowly but surely over time. I've tried different things on it. You can go back through my videos and sort of see, what it used to look like versus what it does look like now. And it's really come a long way. So, if you didn't already know, I've acquired all my tanks for free. It may sound impossible, but that's what I did. That's what we pulled off. And it all started with this tank here. So, in this tank, I have two heaters exactly like this. They're 200 watt heaters. There's one up there, and there's one down in here in the sump. Now this is some kind of, this came with the tank, some kind of homemade acrylic jobby. I think it was a sump for a much larger tank, and then someone chopped the end off it, and sort of made that little cut so you can get your arm in and do maintenance, and slid her in. I use it because it works. It holds water, and let me get some more light on this situation. And before I forget to mention it, the two heaters are plugged into a heater controller hanging up on the wall there. I've got the sump packed with all manner of biomedia that I could just find over time. Mainly pot scrubbies, sponges. There's gravels and bio balls and everything. Little clay balls. They used to float, but over time they sunk, and they used to all float on top. They still do. I've got the middle walled off here, and sponges in between, so this area stays dark for beneficial bacteria to not be affected by my UV light. I've got a 20 micron filter sock that basically just floats on top of the water and grabs any of the big gunk while it enters from above, and this thing just runs. I try not to touch the sump. It pretty much stays clean, and we just let it go. We leave it alone. We don't stir it up. We just leave her alone. Maybe once a year, twice a year, go in there, pull everything out, rinse it down, put it back together. But when you do that, you're sacrificing your biocycle to a degree, and it's a dangerous game. So I try not to play with the sump. That's what's in it. Over on the side there, probably seen in my recent videos, it's a pond grade UV light. It's set up by the intake for the send the water up top. I have that sump pump inside a plastic bottle, a 2-liter water bottle that's perforated to the max, and then it's wrapped with a green thick sponge, and that's to keep any debris from clogging up my intake zone. And then I stick the UV bulb between the sponge and the plastic bottle, right beside the intake. So it's working as an effective do-it-yourself, very strong UV filter. I just can't, I'm sticking the phone there, but I can't, if I go under there, I have to turn it off, because it will blind me, and that's why these doors stay closed. It's very strong, but it's a sterilizer, like disinfection sterilizer level stuff going on there, and I wish I had done it sooner, because I think I lost some fish, because my other UV does not sterilize to that level. It kills a lot of stuff, but it wasn't killing what was causing me a problem. And I tried to medicate it out. I couldn't. Nothing worked until I bought a $20 pond sterilizer and did that. For filtration, I have two of these Penguins. I think it's a 275. They're good to, I think it's 60 gallons each, but there's two of them, so that makes for 120 gallons. And I like it that way because I can split them up. I can throw one over there. See, the one that has two streaming things that come off the top takes two pads. They're only good up to 80 gallons. So you get these smaller units that take one pad and split them in two. And that way you got an intake on each side of your tank. Now this one I had to hang in front of the tank, because I wasn't thinking when I bought it about the down. There's a pipe going down the back to overflow, so I couldn't hang on back on the back. So I just put it on the front. I'd rather have it there and have it look a little bit ugly than not have it. I used to run two of these internal UVs, but I needed one in the Oscar tank, and they're like $70 something after tax and shipping. So I had two of them in here, and I thought that was overkill, but I like overkill, but I figured I could live with one. And when I pulled the other one out, it was probably a bad idea, because I lost redundancy basically. So now with the bulb down here, I've regained redundancy. So what have we covered? We've covered filtration. I just have a standard 4-foot LED light up there. It's, forget the Granda or something company, some Amazon no-name company. It's a nice light, but it really does grow a lot of algae. I have this light on a few different tanks, and those tanks grow excessive algae, and I have another kind of light on other tanks, and those tanks don't grow excessive algae. So I'm going to slowly switch over to the don't grow algae lights. I'm not sure yet, though, because I don't know. I think this light might be better for plants, and I'll just stick with it. And when I don't want a tank like the Oscar tank with no plants, then I use the other ones. Yeah, so that's this tank, and then I keep two 55-gallon barrels, and they're 55-gallon when they're filled up to here. But then I plugged up the overflow holes, and I fill them right up to the brim. So probably at least a good 60 gallons in each. It gives me 120 gallons of preheated water. I run heaters and sponge filters and everything in there. Both the tank and the barrels are running off of this, another Amazon special. It's like $25. It's got 4 spouts and a control knob, so you can really crank. And of course, when you overdo it, it gets loud. But that's pretty much the extent of my. Oh, and then I have battery backup unit. That one covers heaters. And then I have another battery backup unit here, and that one's covering filtration. I had 2 down there, but one needs its batteries replaced. So, and I got about 10 more of those things downstairs. They all need
battery replacements too. It's about $60 to fix each one, and I will as I need them. But right now, this tank will run for a good 2 hours plus in the event of a power outage. It'll keep going. And in my city, normally the power's up by then. So very rare we're down for days or anything like that. It might happen once every 10, 15 years. So that's this tank. And we have my breeding station, and it's pretty basic. It's two 20-gallon talls, 2 sponge filters and a heater in each, and a heater controller because discus will be in there, so you always have heater controllers. I'm trying to have them everywhere, but they cost money, right? So I've almost got them everywhere. Actually, I only need 2 more, maybe 3, probably 4. So yeah. Heater, 2 sponge filters. We use the Seacon tags to keep an eye on our levels and make sure water doesn't go south. I ghost feed these tanks and I keep them running, and I wait for the discus to start dancing like they're going to breed, and then I know the hormones are active and I get the pair into one of these and off to the races we go. That's how I've been managing it so far, but they've gone, I guess, out of season or something. My tank went out of cycle, so I probably screwed them over. They should start again soon. Now, this is the Oscar tank. It's a 112-gallon tank. You'd think it doesn't have a sump at a glance, but it's got more than a sump. It's linked into all the other tanks, which are over here. We'll take a quick glance. And those 2 barrels as well are full of water, and they're linked into all these tanks as well, plus that big one on the other side. And they're all sharing their water, their filters, their heaters, their biomatter. Everything is being shared and cycled through each other, through them all at like 450 gallons per hour on average. So that's how it works down here. This tank's meant to have 2 heaters, but they just broke one on me, and I haven't bought a replacement yet because, quite honestly, the heaters never turn on in this tank. It's it's like the other side of the system keeps this warm, and only when things get bad does this tank turn on, because it's so big it just holds the heat, I guess, better than the other ones do because they're smaller. So this one tends to not turn on much. Now, should the circulation stop, there could be a problem, but right now it's got a 200-watt heater, and I got to pop another one in there. It's coming soon, though. I just pick and choose my battles sometimes. So around the corner, so yeah, it's a heater. It's got 2 of these guys, these filter guys here in the corner, and they're basically a sponge filter with a head on top, but they got a casing over the sponge filter because my Oscars like to rip apart sponge filters, so that stops that. I got one of those in each corner. I got a hang-on back. This is a Fluval C4, I believe it was. It's good for 85 gallons an hour. These ones in the corner here are good for 170 gallons each, like aquarium. They're up to 170 gallons they service. I got 2 of those, and we have one of the UV filters in here, which services an 80-gallon tank. So it's a 112-gallon tank, and independently it's overfiltered. And then that blue pipe out there is sending the water from this tank out into those barrels around the corner. And then there's another intake pipe that we can't really see, but it's up in the corner there making all those bubbles for me as it sends the water in from the other side. So let's go have a look at the other side. Yeah, Mr. Greg's with me. Here we are on the other side. And this tank is actually, oh yeah, these tanks are running one hang-on back and one UV filter each. This one's got the exact same rig to send the water out, the overflow rig, into the barrels, and then it gets pumped right back up into the tank through that one, that green one up there. That's the incoming water, sending water in, and then the water is exiting at the same rate it enters through this. It's getting sucked down into the pipe, and it just travels out. And there's I think I got a 200 watt heater in there and a 50 watt heater in there, because this tank is kind of narrow and it cools down pretty quick. So this tank need a little extra help. The barrels have got a 200 watt heater in each of them, and this is the barrel heater controller here. That heater controller is just handling this tank. This heater controller is actually handling both of these heaters for these tanks, and you'll see that the temperatures pretty much sync up right across the whole system. We're down by a point here because, like I said, that tank tends to get cold, and on the other side it's probably like bang on 78 degrees, I bet. It's always a little warmer over there. Where are we? 77.9. So you can see how they circulate and pretty much balance out each other. They help out each other and they filter each other. So have a look at the barrels. I use this Sun to pull the water from the barrel, and then it goes around the corner and sends the water into the 112. So that's what's feeding water into the 112, and then of course it's filtered water. It goes through all the biomedia that's in there. So that's to help out the quality in the Oscar tank. Then the Oscar tank expels the water into here. It's sending the water. Oops, one sec. Clear my hands. It's sending the water through this one into the barrel constantly from the 112, and that's traveling in at the rate that the sun is sending it out. And this barrel is filled with packed full of pot scrubbies, and on the bottom there's gravels and gravel-like biomedias and anything really that has lots of surface area. I threw it in there. And on the bottom of this one's relatively clear. It doesn't have pot scrubbies. It's got like biomedia bags and gravels on the bottom of it. That's all I've done with it right so far. And so these act as extra water volume as well as a super sump. They're both filled to the brim, and they add water to my entire system. This water volume's where it's at. You get more water volume, your water does not foul as quickly. It takes a lot longer to foul the water. It recovers from being fouled on its own a lot easier, and that's why they want you to put big fish in big tanks. It's more about the water volume than it is about the tank size. And so this is the Parrot tank. The Parrot tank is drilled, so it when it overflows, it's heading out into the barrel there. The Parrot tank's basically the highest point on the system, so it's the top of the system, and it's the it's, I guess, the beginning of the journey for the water. And the water enters this tank at a rate of 460 gallons per hour through that little blue knobby there. It's coming up over that pipe. And it's being fed up from that sump to the top tank. You can sort of see the flow rate as it enters. And that'd be like the whole system's flow rate coming into this tank. Again, like 460-ish gallons per hour. And enough to carve a hole down there. Keep the glass exposed. And no other filters in here because I just don't have any fish in here right now. And I need to pull the filters that I did have in here and put them in other tanks. Namely the 112 to get that one active, because I've only had that 112 for a short while. I used to have Oscars, 2, 3 Oscars in here. I was keeping 2 Oscars up here with silver dollars, and now they're all over in the big tank. So, and here we have the other version of the Pelican with the 2 outputs. I wish I had I decided I'd buy this one to see what it's about. It's not bad. It's not bad. I wish I bought the 2 separate ones though. It cost me like $20 more. And I would have been better off running the 2 separate ones, because then I'd have redundancy. But we also run a UV in here. Every tank in my house that has fish in it also has some manner of UV running on it. And then there's a UV in here as well. And so all those 3 UVs are working together to keep the water clear in the system as well. So I got all those filters, all the UVs, all the heaters. It's a massive equipment hog, this thing. And I've yet to link this tank in, but there's no fish for this tank yet, so we're just that's like a standby tank in case I have problems, and this is a standby tank in case I have problems for now. Also, I'm really just running out of money to spend on fish anytime in the near future, because I've really put my whole summer into this fish room, and my fall, and winters are knocking on the door, so it's time to pipe it down. Winter's an expensive time of year for me, and I have to slow down on the disposable spending. It's not really even disposable, it's kind of crazy spending, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I don't know. I bet you I've missed equipment. I got those. Okay, we got these Hygo internal lights. These things are awesome. They don't generate a lot of algae. You put them in the middle of the tank like that, keep them off your glass. You don't get any algae off them, and they light the tank up fairly well. So that's it. Running its 24-hour cycle. Daylight mode, midday, on a 3-foot tank. That's a 15-inch bar, and they sell them as long as you need them and as short as you need them. Different wattages for different tanks. So $25. It's pretty good. They submerge. They're clean. You use the top of your tank for other things like monitors and fish food instead of lights. And I like them. They're real nice. I don't know how good they are with plants though, because I'm not a plant guy, so I'm sure they're fine. They're probably just fine. And those Hydra guys make good stuff. So I believe I've covered all my gear. And I'm going to press stop, and I'm going to realize I forgot something important, but meh. That should be it. That's where we're at right now for gear. 6 months from now, there's going to be complete changes, I'm sure of it, because If I go back 6 months, I almost laugh. And if I go back a year, I laugh even harder. It's and what I think I might be able to go back a year and a half now. When I watch those videos, it's increasingly comical. Just how you evolve, both in knowledge and in from the start point to now, for example. You can't do this overnight, right? But I thank yous all for watching, and we'll see you next time.